So Mike and Sally. Mike's run 6 8/10 of the laps, and Sally's run 144 over 25 laps. Who's run the furthest? You've all made the good start. You've recognised instantly that we've got an improper fraction here and we've got a mixed number there. Okay? We can't compare them because they're different. So I'm guessing the majority of you changed this to an improper, didn't you? Yeah? And we did it by getting math. So we did 6 times 10 is 60, plus 8 is 68 over 10. You all got that, I saw that. Sally is 144 over 25. Now we look at it again, we kind of go through that process again of looking what we've got. Now we've got 2 improper fractions. Yeah, they're fractions, yeah, they're improper, but we can do something with them. So now we looked at the bottom numbers and we saw we've got a 10 here and a 25 there. Now, the nearest possible denominator we could get to, the multiple of those two, would be 50. 10 times 5 is 50. 25 times 2 is 50. So we got 50 as our bottom number. I think we all got that as well. Then we remember the little mantra. Whatever we've done to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So I have to times that top by 5. That's 68 by 5. 340. We times that bottom by 2. So we've got to times that top by 2. 144 times 2. 280. Yeah? The question says, who's run the furthest? Is it Mike or is it Sally? It's Mike. Yeah, it's Mike. Brilliant, yeah?
Yeah, no, I got it.
Touching
I know.
distance. Touching distance.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah? That makes sense. That makes sense. So now we've learnt that skill. Now we've learnt the skill and we've looked how to recognise what we've got and getting them bottom numbers the same and then doing whatever we've done to the bottom to do to the top. We can move it on to the next stage. This slide is irrelevant. Adding and subtracting fractions, okay? Basically all this is now, it's just taking the skill that we've learned and making it an addition or a subtraction. So it's like this, it's exactly the same, but let's just imagine we had to add these laps together. We would just put an addition in the middle. That's all we would do. So it's all about converting the fractions, changing the fractions so they're the same, and then adding them or subtracting them. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a couple of examples, and then we can do a few ourselves. Oi. Quite common questions in the exam. 3/10 plus 3/5 minus a half. And there's a sum, okay? Adding and subtracting fractions. We approach it exactly the same as we've just approached them comparing fractions. We look at what we've got. We've got 3 fractions. Are they all fractions? Are they improper? Are they mixed? No, they're all fractions. Happy days, we can just continue working with them. Second thing we look at, the bottom numbers. 10, 5, 2. They're all different. They're all different. However, just by looking at those numbers, we know we can make them all the same. Just by looking at them. We know we can make them all into a 10, don't we? Yeah? That's already a 10, so we're going to leave it. That 5, I can make that into a 10 easily by just multiplying it by 2. 5 times 2 is 10, there it is. Whatever I do to the bottom, I've got to do to the top. 3 times 2 is 6, there it is. Put the little plus sign back in the middle. There's the subtraction sign. That 2, I need to make it into a 10. How am I going to do that? I'm going to times it. I'm going to times it by 5. 2 times 5 is 10. There it is. Whatever I've done to the bottom, I've got to do to the top. 1 times 5 is 5. Now when we look at it, tens, 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 perfect. Let's do the sum. When we're adding and subtracting fractions, the bottom number stays the same. We don't do 10 plus 10 minus 10, the bottom number stays as 10. 10 is the bottom number. There it is. All we do then, we just do the sum across the top. 3 plus 6 is 9, minus 5 equals 4. And that's the answer to the question. 4 over 10. You can see we've learned the skill. All we're doing now is putting it into practice.
But with, say, when you've got like a addition and then a subtraction, whatever it is, you do that part first, so like the 3 plus the 6, you do that first,
Yeah.
and then you take away the 5.
Yeah, it's pretty rare that you would get anything where you've got maybe 3 sums. The only reason that one's on there is so I can show you that you've got an addition. It works for addition or subtraction. Yeah, it works the same way for both.
What if the final answer is an improper fraction?
We'll come to that in a few minutes. Yeah, we'll come to that in a few minutes. So, fairly easy-ish to do, as long as you can compare them fractions. Fairly straightforward, nothing too tricky. Okay. What about this then? Got to cover every eventuality. Two and 3/4 plus 1 3/8. Oh, now then it's starting to look a bit trickier. But is it? No, because we follow that same process that we followed a few minutes ago. We have a look at what we've got. We've got 2 mixed numbers. Okay, 2 mixed numbers. Okay, how are we going to solve this particular question? There's an easy way. If you've got 2 mixed numbers like this, the first thing you need to do, and I'll just use a different coloured pen to show to demonstrate this. The first thing you do is think, well, that's 2 full ones and that's 1 full one. If I take that 2 full one and that 1 full one, let's imagine the pizzas, and I drag them down here, out of the way, I've actually got 3. Yeah, 2 plus 1, because remember they're whole numbers. 3, yeah, so we've got 3. If we now move those out of the equation, now I'm quite lucky I can rub them off the board. What you would probably need to do is just do this. Yeah? So all you've done there, you've just taken away, not taken away, sorry, but you've moved the 2 and the 1 because you've added them up down here. Remember, these are whole numbers. That's a whole number, they're your whole numbers. Yeah, don't forget that 3, we're going to come back to it shortly. So now we've got 3/4 plus 3/8. We go back through that process. What have we got? We've got 2 fractions. Let's look at the bottom numbers. The bottom numbers are different. Can I make them the same? Of course I can make them the same because that's a 4. If I times that 4 by 2, I'm going to get an 8. I've got an 8 there. Whatever I do to the bottom, I've got to do to the top. 3 times 2 is 6. That's already 3 over 8. I don't need to change it. Okay, bang on, look at that, what we've got now. Remember, the bottom number stays as an 8. And we just add the 2 top numbers. 6 plus 3 equals 9. So now we look again at what we've got as an answer. We've got 9 over 8. That's an improper fraction. It's an improper fraction. So what we have to do now, we have to convert that back to a mixed number. How do we do that? We see how many 8s go into 9. Okay, how many 8s go into 9? Which is 1. With 1 remainder. There's your 1, there's your 1 remainder. Remember, we've now got an 8 as the bottom number as a denominator, so the 8 stays as an 8. So 9 over 8 is the same as 1 and 1/8. That answer there is those two fractions added together. This answer here, this 3, remember, was the two whole numbers added together. Let's bring them together. 3 whole numbers plus 1 whole number and an 1/8 equals 4 and 1/8. Yeah? That's a lot of work, isn't it? Yeah? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of thinking about. It's a lot of stuff going on there. A hell of a lot of stuff. Really, really popular styles of questions in the exam. Really popular styles of questions. And it's all about finding out, looking what you've got to start with. If you've got two whole numbers, add them together, get them out of the way, take them out of the equation just for the time being. Remember, maths is all about making the sum as small as you possibly can all the time. Get rid of those two, move them out of the way down here. Don't forget about them, just move them out of the way. 2 plus 1 is 3. You're left with 3/4 plus 3/8. See that? We've just done 4, 5, 6 sums that look like that. Just done them. Change the bottom numbers, get them the same. Once you've done it, have another look what you've got. Got a mix, an improper. Got to change it back because we've got mixed numbers, remember, in the question. Boom, there it is. Don't forget this now. Bring them together. There's your final answer. Yeah? So there's a lot going on, a lot you've got to think about for 2 or 3 marks. Yeah? There's quite a lot going on. Do you fancy having a go at a few? I'm glad you've said that. Because in your workbook, you've got this. And we've got, now I've made this easy for you. Because your first 3 here, the bottom numbers are the same. Easy. Your second 3 here, you've only got to change 1 of the bottom numbers. The third 3, you've got to change both of the bottom numbers. And then question 10 is a toughie. Alright? But it's still an addition. I'll leave that with you for a few minutes. Off you go.